professional level as the guys that we see in UFC. I would say it takes not only a lot of dedication and discipline, but it takes a special kind of mentality for that. In my case, I've trained for so many years and I feel like know nothing.
You're learning every day.
Every day, I try to get as much as I can.
Welcome to the Longevity Club podcast. I'm here with Fernando Moya. Fernando, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Costa Rica's first Jiu-Jitsu black belt or professional.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
How does your dad's an engineer or is an engineer?
My dad was an engineer. Yeah, he passed a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And my mom's a chef.
And your mom's a chef.
Yeah.
And you trained to be a vet.
I am a veterinarian, actually. Yeah.
What kind of animals?
I used to work in like a mixed animal practice, but I ended up just working with jiu-jitsu.
Just Jiu-Jitsu. So
Working with
a vet. How
different kind of animals.
how did that happen?
Pretty much since I was in the university, I somehow I started training Muay Thai at this local school, very small but really cool local school in the city. And then a couple of guys, somehow they were talking about something related to jiu-jitsu. I was like, I should go.
What's that? Did you know what it was? Or?
I knew what it was because I used to watch UFC, and I used to watch Pride,
The old school.
Champions. Yeah. It was a while ago, and then I was able to go to. There was only one place where you could train back in the day, and like very soon after that, my sister had this trip to Brazil, and she invited me over, and I ended up going to a school in Brazil, a very nice school, and I just got caught up with it. It was very like something very natural. Like I never intended to work with jiu-jitsu or have anything to do with it.
Did you even know that was a job? Like
No, not at all. No, not even close to that. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed training, and it was something that it was good to put time and attention into it. But yeah, it just came up very naturally.
That's amazing. I know you get to make a living doing it and travel the world.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I'm super grateful with that. Like, and it's a cool job, and especially now that it's not only, I don't only train with jiu-jitsu athletes, but mostly with MMA, like only with MMA fighters. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And has that changed a lot? Because I think when the very first few the first ones I remember, like you had a guy, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, going in against a wrestler or going in against a striker. It's everything was so separate. Now you really need a complete game to play, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have a lot more experience in that than I do. But for what I've been able to see, it's like when I started watching MMA fights and not only MMA fights, but also jiu-jitsu fights, like jiu-jitsu tournaments. You could see that the guys who used to do jiu-jitsu and win tournaments also did MMA, and that is not so common right now. And but yeah, now it's a very, very high level of specialty in the fighters. It's not like of course you have the guys who have a lot of experience in jiu-jitsu and the guys who have a lot of experience in Muay Thai and a lot of experience in wrestling, but the more fighters we have, like it's more common to see the high level in all of these disciplines, not the guy who is really good at jiu-jitsu but it's really bad at striking.
Bad on his feet.
Yeah, that it's highly unlikely we're going to see that. Yeah.
But that used to be the case. Like there was such a disparity. But so tell me this, like I don't know a lot about jiu-jitsu. I am, Irish.
I don't either.
We don't have, well, it's not like we either, but like even wrestling, it's not something that you see a lot in Europe. But now you see it like in the States, wrestling is very, very big. What do you think it takes? Like what are the tools to make a complete fighter in your eyes?
It depends on the level of the fighter, because we have like professional fighters, and then we have like enthusiasts, right?
Okay.
Like any of us could go and train MMA at our local gym and have a lot of fun with it, or any of us can go to and train jiu-jitsu or boxing. It doesn't really matter. But for the level, like for like professional level, as the guys that we see in UFC or other promotions, I would say it takes not only a lot of dedication and discipline, but it takes a special kind of mentality for that. And it's definitely not something that everyone can do or will do or think they, like, I'm going to earn a living by beating up someone else
Yeah.
in a cage or a ring. But it does take a different kind of mentality and an approach to, all these, like the physical training, and it's like a special training in any of the disciplines. But yeah, I would say it's a mentality.
It takes it. The mind is the biggest tool, and that could be true in so many sports. So if you were starting out a young kid in the morning, like comes to you, Fernando, I want to be the next MMA star. I want to, like, that's my 10-year path or 20-year path, whatever it is. Where do you start them? Is it like how do you start down that journey? Like where would you say, hey, let's focus on this first and then go, like, what's the transitions?
Mm, I think that if you have a kid that is going to wants to, maybe like a very young kid who wants to do anything, like it doesn't matter if it's wrestling or gymnastics. I think it's a great way to start because it develops good sensibility towards your body and exercise, and there's a lot of discipline in it. And also, I right now at this point, I would think that, of course, jiu-jitsu, because I like it so much, right? But I like how I like the how wrestling training, their approach, and it's very, very tough. It's like they have to be super athletes, and it's a very it's low reward kind of sport, because it has never been for money. That's one thing. Nobody wants, oh, I want to be a professional wrestler. And a lot of people do it, but it's different, right? It's not something that you look at the reward from it. But I think gymnastics, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling definitely are a good way to start.
Do you think they're the more technical because, like, is striking like maybe the most natural thing for a person? So is like where do you start to get the fundamentals to say, hey, you need 5 years of this before you even think about doing
I
this?
would I would I would try to start with gymnastics, and then like maybe a little bit of everything else, if it wasn't in the case of a kid, because I believe the kid should be a kid too. He should have time for other things that
Yeah.
don't really apply, or don't have to focus in what are you going to do in the next, I don't know, 40 years of your life, 30 years of your life. But I think yeah, which one is more technical? I don't think there's one. I think whichever you choose and you choose to specialize in, you're going to be more technical in that. I don't think Muay Thai is easier than wrestling, or Jiu-Jitsu is better than wrestling. I don't see it like that. It depends on the person and the mentality and the approach and the kind of the amount of time they put into this. Yeah.
And to do it, because like you look at, I guess, like Muay Thai, and like Liam Harrison's been here with us, and like I went to, like an idiot, held pads for Liam once, and it'll only ever happen once because I felt bad for the pads. I mean, it was he kicks that hard, but if you watch the intensity they go at, like I feel like their gas tank has to be so much stronger to go at that, like, intensity that quick. Is it the same with jujitsu, or like how, or is that more like how what's like what different level of fitness do you need to get to be good at both?
Oh, to be good at both, like as in good, yeah, just have to, train 3-4 times a week, and you're going to be good at it. And that's why, at least with jujitsu, older folks can get into jiu-jitsu. Like you see a lot of 40-year-olds or 45 years. Oh, I've never done any sports. I want to train jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. And I don't just to be good. Train 3-4 times a week. Eat well, sleep well. Try to keep your mind right. But to go to a high level, then you're gonna have to put in a lot of work. That's a job.
2 days,
Yeah,
3 days, yeah.
yeah, at least. Back in the day, this was way before I even started training. You could see that these champions or the competitors, they came in and they competed, but they had jobs. They have normal jobs. They
The
had
money wasn't there.
no, 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 and they were like, yeah, they maybe they trained like a little bit in the morning and then at night, but now they have to now if you want to be a champion, you have to be at the gym. You have to like just like a regular job.
That's your life.
Yeah, that's your life, and you dedicate full into that, and there's not that much time off, and the time off doesn't look like partying or shopping or
You don't get that.
rest. No,
You don't get to have a lot of fun. But it's interesting you say that. Now, is that something you guys teach kids? Because it's something that when people come to RMI, we talk about like, hey, stem cells are amazing, but they're not the magic bullet. Like you have to live a lifestyle that like complements this. So like if you're making this investment in yourself, you have to sleep right. You have to eat right.
Right.
You have to say, you know what, maybe alcohol is not something I need a lot of. Like you have to make these choices to, is that something you guys start to teach kids young?
As in, well, in my case, like specifically, I always recommend people to don't not to get carried away, because like right now everything is so fast. Like with social media, there's so many things. Like there's so many magic pills, and good things take time. There's not one thing. There's not one thing one person can do, and everything will change. It has to be a bunch of things. So there's you cannot be a super athlete if you sleep 2 hours a day. You cannot be the super athlete if you go to like for fast food every day, or if you party every day. Yeah, with people that come into the academy, I usually try to tell them, no, just keep it simple. Don't rush. Like just go like train 3 times the most. Earn the fourth training. You have to earn it, because if not, everything else in your life as a normal person will start to deviate. You're gonna come in on a Friday all beaten up at work. Your neck is gonna hurt. Your back is gonna hurt. It doesn't make that much sense. And with kids too. Like with kids, there's so many things that can hurt their evolution. And but that is it takes all these elements to bind in together. So the recipe comes good.
It comes good.
Yeah.
Do you like how many years have you been training people?
Ooh, training people, I don't know. I've been training like 22. It's not that much, but I've been lucky enough to train and spend my time I believe with the right people, especially now. The, that I'm very lucky to to like surround myself with just
Good people.
wow, yeah, and very, very high end trainers, and so, but it's like 22 years, I think 22, 20.
So in 22 years, have you seen? Because like I remember being a kid, like we went to boxing and whatever, and we were basically like we weren't taught anything. Like here's some gloves, you hit that guy, yeah, hit that guy. There was nothing really technical, and then whoever stayed standing was the winner. But do you see kid? But we didn't have anything else, so it was easy for us to go in there and do that because we weren't so focused on TV. We didn't have social media. We didn't have these things. Do you see kids these days have a hard time focusing? Like, or does it take them a while to kind of settle in, or have you seen like the social media side of it kind of being a detriment, or?
I think it's just a tool, but it's definitely something that gives us most of the time the wrong idea. There's a lot of content but there's not a lot of really good stuff. You know, you can spend hours watching your phone, just like really bad videos, like things that don't, you know, add up. Yeah, they're not going to teach you. And imagine that in a kid. Like when I was a kid, we didn't have social media, so it was different. I could not imagine how it would be, because it's just something completely different. But when it comes to, at least in jiu-jitsu or martial arts, I think people can get carried away, just like in any other thing. Like if you like cars, you'll see guys, I don't know, doing the craziest things on cars. And if you like dogs, or if you like anything, there's too much of it. People get carried away, especially now.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So with like, I don't know an awful lot about jiu-jitsu. Like I know from watching like the Gracies and that kind of stuff, like, you know, the evolution of it through fighting, and like how it's become more and more of a thing. Has it changed? Like, what's the evolution of jiu-jitsu itself, or is it just the exact same, just certain people are pro practitioners, or it's always evolving?
No, no, no. The level is evolving rapidly now. I mean, I'm not saying that back in the day we didn't have the level of fighters we have now. It's just different. It's just different. But given the fact that people can actually live from, or it's more common to live off from something like this now than it was, I don't know, 30 or 40 years ago. It there's a crazy level in the competition, and the level of athletes, and how they perform, and the technical level in the fights. For example, when you watch like worlds, I mean, gi or no gi, it doesn't matter. The the competition is so high, and the athletes are just top level athletes. It's, yeah,
Is Gordon Ryan the best, or is there somebody better than him?
good question.
We're going to tag him in this as well. So we're
Gordon Ryan, I think right now, definitely the best. I I would not know, like in no-gi, at least he's definitely the best guy there is. And what made him the best is that evolution. You did not see a version of him one year and a slight difference at the next year. It was a great difference in between years. And he's a young guy. I mean, I've been able to train with him, and
he's a big lad too, right?
he's huge. He's a very strong, but there's a lot of bigger guys and stronger than him. But his approach to technique and to training and how he focuses, I think, is one rare aspect in it. Like you don't see that in other athletes. It's definitely what makes him the best.
So Dylan Dennis isn't the best. I was just, you know, we're going by. I'm chilling.
Dylan Denzel, I don't think so. I mean, he's really good and all, but I could not compare him to Gordon Ryan by any means.
By any means.
Yeah.
Who's the next like jiu-jitsu kind of star that you think is coming that could make a big impact, let's say, on the UFC?
Oh, in UFC, nah, but not jiu-jitsu guys in UFC. In UFC, there is so many new fighters that are coming.
But in straight jiu-jitsu, then who's the next big name?
It depends. There's so many categories. There's so many, like now you have the Federation Jiu-Jitsu, and then you have all these other tournaments. It will be hard to tell. I couldn't say a name, but there's definitely a lot of really good young guys that are just beasts. Like you see Cole Abate, or Abate, I think it's. He used to. I even was able to train with him here when my school was in the next building, and he was just a kid. His dad brought him in, and he was like a baby. And now you see him, and he's just
Killing it.
killing it. He's just a beast.
Have martial arts kind of taken off here in Costa Rica?
I think it is. It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting question. It is taken off. I believe that back in the day there was more popularity when it came to MMA. was more attractive. We had more events or more fights, and there was definitely a very high level of fighters. I remember good fighters who were able to fight in other places and other promotions, and but now I think that we have lesser of these MMA fighters, but we do have a very good population of people training jiu-jitsu with the gi and without the gi, and some very good competitors have
Come from here.
come from here. Yep. And I think there's really good schools in Costa Rica. I think that there's a very high level, I mean, very good infrastructure when it comes to jiu-jitsu in this country. Luckily, for the past like 20 something years, it was something that caught up, and it has been widely accepted by the populations. And now we have a lot of kids schools, and we have a social project, for example. And there's a really, for me, it's like the most impressive thing. You're having a social project in Jaco at the beach with 250 kids that train for free there, and it's a formal school. It's unimaginable to have this. Like 20 years ago, it would have been impossible.
But it's
No way.
weird because I think Costa Ricans in general are very active. You know, they're fit by nature. Like when you go out on the weekends, you see people in parks. Like it's always busy. Like people really seem to embrace being athletic here.
I think there's an ongoing culture around sports, and somehow it has been going to martial arts too. Yeah, there's good karate schools here too, and there's really good judo schools. But in my case, I know a lot of the most, if not all, of the jiu-jitsu schools here, and I think it's very high level. I think we're very lucky to have this thing going on here, which is, it's really cool. It's not common in neighboring countries. You have good schools, great competitors, but not in the same amount as here.
That's amazing. Do you think Costa Rica is going to get to the jiu-jitsu level of, let's say, the Dagestanis with wrestling? Is this the new hotspot?
I don't think it's the new hotspot. I think we have really good competitors, and I just, like I said before, good things take time, and I've never believed that there has to be like this one place where everything will change. Much less thinking of the, my country, because I'm a little bit biased by that.
I think Khabib would disagree with these. Look at all these Dagestanis that are out choking everybody.
Wow, yeah, they have a long history of fighting, and a long history of fighters too.
That's Sambo style.
Yeah, they have, and they don't have, like, that didn't come out of the,
No.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's been so many years, and a lot of their culture revolves around that. So I'm a big fan of some of those guys. I like how they fight. I like their approach, and I like the way they assess the tribal training kind of thing. It's very different from what we have on this side of the world. It's super cool to see that. Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
They're a different class. So Brazil, back to Costa Rica. You're in Mexico now with the UFC PI.
Yeah, I'm super lucky right now that I am working with the UFC Performance Institute. I work with it, like they let me work with a great team of trainers. I have Eric Del Fierro, which is I think he's kind of like a genius, and it's very cool because in my case, I've trained for so many years, and I feel like I know nothing.
You're learning every day.
Every day, I try to get as much as I can from him. He's a very smart guy and super cool to. I mean, it's just every day. It's hard to believe I'm working with him. I used to see him in interviews back in the day.
What a great feeling that has.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we have a great wrestling coach. His name is Ulises Barragan. I have a great Muay Thai coach, who's I believe it's Mexico's national team's Muay Thai, their national team in Muay Thai. His coach, his name is Ernesto, and we have two more coaches. One is Marcelo Rojo, and another one's called Paulo Saori. They were both in UFC, and now they're not in UFC. They retired, but they're great coaches. So everybody adds up.
Are they more boxing style? Like, are they strikers?
One of them is more of a brawler, and
Which is a Mexican style of fighting anyway.
oh, he's not Mexican. He's not Mexican. He's just a brawler by nature. Everything he does, Marcelo is kind of like that. Paulo is it's different. It's very analytic when it comes to fighting and to training and to explaining things. And but yeah, I think it's so many different personalities. I mean, Paulo is so different from how my approach, and Ulises and Neto's approach, and Marcelo's approach. We all have a different approach, but we all work under Coach Eric. And then when you see what he says, and everything kind of makes sense. I think you need all these different personalities to
complement each other.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How many fighters would be there training now on an average? Like, do they stay full time or
they stay full time? Yeah, we have we work with an athlete, like a fighter development program, and right now it's 17. We're gonna have around 40 by 40 or 45. I don't know, like around 40. Let's say around 40 by March, hopefully, which is gonna be crazy to select these fighters. And it's the combine. It's gonna start soon, and plus on top of that, whichever UFC fighters want to do and can do or will do their camp at the PI. And so let's say like 45, 46 fighters there.
And is that in an altitude?
Yeah,
there's a year.
Yeah, the altitude, it's super high up. It's 2,400 meters. I don't know in feet, but it's 2,400 meters.
Like 7,000 or something like that, right?
I don't know. You're gonna feel bad for a couple of weeks.
We'll ask our technical advisors here somewhere, but we're gonna say it's high.
It's very high. It's very difficult to get used to it. It's tough. Like whenever fighters, like whenever there's like a fight event in Mexico,
it takes a lot to
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's not for everyone. You have to,
So we got to watch these guys coming out of the PI, and it's in Mexico City.
Yeah, it's right in Mexico City. It's in Alzures, next to Polanco. Yeah, so it's a beautiful building, state of the art. It's I can't even believe I work there right now. It's just too much.
Dream come true.
Yeah, it's not even. I would have never dreamt of having anything to do with them. But yeah, I was lucky.
Well, we're gonna try bring our amazing Dr. Deliore there, who's a jiu-jitsu guy as well, but
yeah,
me and Mark will bring him up there. We'll get on trainings.
Yeah,
you can tire him out. I will film it though for him. I'll sit there with the phone and go.
They're gonna beat him up.
That's good. Not too much because we need him. He's the back.
Enough.
Just enough that he was there, but keep it balanced. Any big name that you think, like, that you see a guy that's a bit special, like you say, hey, when this guy hits the UFC, you got who's from what you guys are training at the PI?
Yeah, from the development program. I wish I could say one name, but I'm just I've never been able to see this kind of athlete in my life, like the level of athletes that these guys are. I'm such a big fan of each one of them, but of course you have guys. You have some of them are champions of the league they're in, like Lux or Budo or whatever, and well, right now we have a Lux champion, which is the other promotion in Mexico, the biggest one, I think.
Yeah.
And his name is Juan Pegajoso Diaz. He's a beast. Nice kid, super humble. I'm a big fan of him. And then we have a couple of guys, the Luna Martinetti brothers, that they've been training in Tijuana for so long now. They train at the PI. They're really cool too. And I don't know. I can say a lot of names. There's Julieta Martinez who fought at the
Del Noche night?
what was it?
Or the Marab night? The
No. She's she was one of the athletes that were selected for UFC, as well as there's this other fighter, Kevin, also Argentinian. But there's so much talent in these guys. I mean, there's like super athletes. And you see the evolution in all of them. We actually have a Costa Rican in there, a guy that I know since he was a kid, Andre Barquero, and he's at the PI too. Right now he's here in Costa Rica on vacations. Super nice kid, and I could not choose one out of them all. It would be unfair. But I feel like super blessed.
It's just kind of like asking you which one is your favorite kid.
Nah, it's impossible. They're all super cool.
I like them all.
Yeah, I like them all. And I'm like the old guy that trains jiu-jitsu with them. So it's a very humbling experience. It's just too much. Yeah. This weekend we have two of them fighting in Argentina.
Okay.
And one is Rivas and the other one's, the last name is Mansur. Great athletes. And they're all champions in the league. They're all professional. They're all like, so it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell which one it's better. Different weight categories.
But it's good to have that much talent around you.
Yeah.
Have you like, it's something we talk with a lot of athletes that come down, and even just people in general, but like with science changing, there's obviously such a big change in how a professional athlete trains. Like 25 years ago was, run for a couple of miles, do some push-ups, go hit that guy.
Raw eggs.
Yeah, watch a Rocky movie, do that.
Oh, yeah, it's changed. It changed everything. The whole approach. For example, these guys have like physiotherapists. They have nutritional checkup. They have medical checkup. They have like the sports science, the strength and conditioning. They have everything, and there's actually a checkup of each and every single one in each field.
Yeah.
Every day. That's
insane compared to like what everybody else goes in.
Yeah, like
it's a checkup once a year.
Yeah, exactly. Even a sparring session at a normal gym, you have your two friends. They come in, they get the
taped up, and
let's taped up the gloves, and here they get their weight checked. They get everything, even for the guests, because it's it's dangerous.
No,
10 pounds more, 10 pounds less. It's a lot, and so yeah, it changes everything. It is something very impressive, like the amount of detail and attention put into this kind of stuff. Yeah,
that goes into it. Now, how did you hear about RMI?
Actually, it was because of one of your doctors, Felipe de Llores' brother.
Okay.
He trains jiu-jitsu with me here at the local academy, and he's a super cool guy. Like you can see he's a nerd in everything he does, and it's super cool. And then one day he told me, my brother this and this. Like, cool. And then actually one day I bumped into the doctor in one of these sidewalks nearby. He's like, man, you should come in. And then after the gig at the PI, he's like, man, you should come in one day.
Come down.
Yeah, it was a super nice guy. And thanks to him, yeah, I was able to.
How'd you find, like, what was your experience here?
No, I couldn't even believe this place existed. Like, first it's super nice, and like the whole building is great, and the attention, I have no words. Like, couldn't describe it. Yeah, super good. And the treatment was, I was a little bit scared at first, but then I thought it was gonna be something that would make me feel uncomfortable afterwards, and it's great.
Oh, you're an athlete, yeah, and they're so good with what they do.
Great, and then the checkup was great. The whole procedure, and being here it's really cool.
Well, it's good to know, like, 'cause it's something just being an outsider coming here, like you don't realize like how much talent is here and like how educated people are. Like I didn't really know anything about Costa Rica, but the longer I've been here, like fantastic doctors. They're really on the cutting edge of a lot. And like then you like we were talking about, like there's such an active population here. Like this is a hotbed for a lot of really really cool things that are coming in the
Great infrastructure.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, the infrastructure here is great.
And so I think a lot of people that come here are super surprised by that because they're like, "Oh, we thought Costa Rica was, you know, Lolita and some slots and volcanoes."
See a couple of guys in Land Cruisers and the beach and a lot of mud. Yeah, no, this is.
It's a hotbed of like, look, the future is exciting for here.
Yeah.
So what would you tell everybody at the PI? You're going to send them down?
Yeah, like I would recommend this place, like hands down. It's, I have like no words. I feel very lucky I was here. I'm here, and super happy with the treatment. Just can't believe it. Yeah, I appreciate a lot
Well, we're going to follow up with you in March. We're going to come. We're going to visit you. We're going to check you up there, and we're going to step out the PI and film that. That'd be really cool.
That would be awesome.
All right, brother. Well,
Thank you so much.
thank you for sitting with us. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you. Pura vida.